Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to tonight's special edition of Tiger Football. Tonight's special guest, we're going a little away from football here, but we have Mr. Lee Pitts from Lee Pitts Live. Welcome.
Hey, good to be here, Kurt. Lee Pitts Live, the TV show, people, if you don't know, on Fox 4, 8:30 Sunday mornings.
Well, I know you're a busy man.
Not that busy. Anything for Dunbar, radio, sports, I'm good for that.
I appreciate it. And, growing up in Birmingham, Alabama, I know I was reading your bio, and a lot of it was to do with, swimming, and you were certified to be a swim instructor and Red Cross swim instructor at the age of 17. Tell me how that started.
Well, very interesting story. A lot of people know about my, success in the area of aquatics, but it didn't start off with me just walking up and doing what I did. Everybody who has a certain level of high achievement in anything that they do, you will find that there's a story behind it, and there's a work had to go into whatever they accomplished, whether it's the Williams sisters, Tiger Woods, or Michael Jordan, or LeBron James, or Steph Curry. But in this particular case, my area is very unique, because you rarely see African Americans excel in aquatics. You're starting to see black people now excel in aquatics in the Olympics, but that's still a small amount of people. But certainly back when I was coming up as a child, there was no role models in swimming. And people associate swimming with competitive swimming, and they associate it with the Olympics. Now, in my particular case, when I was around 6 years old, I first got the bug for swimming when I saw the television show Flipper. Of this little boy and their dad, and they go out and they have a good time with the dolphin, and you might remember that. But it was the black and white version. They've had movies since then and all that. The original black and white version came on in like 1965 or what have we. So when I used to come home from school, when I used to come home from Head Start. I was in Head Start program, so that's why 5 years old still works, because you can go to Head Start. I come home and I see, Flipper on television. I love the little song, and I love the kids with the dolphins, and they would always be swimming. And we were living in the housing projects, and my mom was raising 7 children by herself. We were poor and the whole works, but we were just poor financially. We weren't poor in terms of the great things that were happening around the neighborhood and the great love that was in the family. And I went to my mom one day and I said, I want to go swimming like those boys on Flipper. I see them on television. I was a little boy. I pulled a skirt in the kitchen and I said, I want to go swimming. And she told me that I couldn't go swimming because she couldn't afford to pay for me to go to the swimming pool. Now, in her words, my mom, who's still alive now and doing well, my mom said that, I can't afford to pay 50 cents for you to go to that nasty pool down the street. Those are the exact mom words. In the hood, Collegeville housing projects in Birmingham. And I had already grown accustomed to the fact that we didn't have much finances around the house, money and those types of things. And I knew it cost 50 cents to go to the pool. That was like, hey, I'm not going to ever be able to go to that pool. My mom not going to give me 50 cents. So I didn't grow up with anybody handing me anything. Anyway, so I told I kept asking her, and after a while she said that, hey, if you can pay your own way to go to the swimming pool, and we know what happened, how my future turned out. But she said, if you can pay your own way to go to the swimming pool, you're welcome to go. Stop bugging me. So I recall that my mom used to give me these bottles to go to the local store. And, of course, back then you could go to the local store. A 5-year-old could walk around by himself. You grow up fast in the neighborhood, in the hood. And nobody would grab you, so I have to tell people all of this because of what I'm going to say now. So anyway, she used to give us these deposit bottles. We take them to the store, and we buy things. She'll say, hey, here, take those 15 bottles there and take them with you, and he's going to give you 5 cents per bottle. And then when you get the money from the bottles, the deposit bottles, back then they don't have deposit bottles now, but deposit bottles changed my life when I was a young kid, and it also gave me employment. I was able to earn a little money by finding bottles in the neighborhood and taking them to the store, and you get 5 cents a bottle. So anyway, we would buy some bacon or some grits and butter and some things to bring back home. My mom would prepare a meal. So I learned then that, hey, bottles are worth money. Okay, so when my mom told me if I could get my own 50 cents, I could go swimming. So the first thing that I knew how you could get some money was to take the bottles to the store. So I started walking around in the neighborhood looking for bottles on the ground. Again, you could walk around in the projects in the neighborhood. Everybody knew I was from the Pitts family up the street, and nobody bothered me in the mid '60s. I was like 5, 6 years old, and I find these bottles. I take them to the store. The guy would give me 5 cents per bottle, and I needed 10 bottles to get 50 cents. And I worked hard to get to the pool every day, and I got ridiculed in the neighborhood. Kids would laugh. Look at that boy. He's looking for bottles. That's the crazy boy. He looks for bottles every day so he can go swimming, and he's just the crazy swim boy. I had become known as the swim boy. And I had my swimming trunks in my back pocket. I could see myself right now, and I would look under cars. I would look under the hedges. I would look along the railroad tracks, and sometimes I would look in the dumpsters. We had many dumpsters in the housing projects in the ghettos of America. And then I would climb into the dumpsters. My mom doesn't like me to tell anybody this because she would have killed me. And I would look through the trash, and I would find these bottles. And I would take them, and I put them in that sink and do some dishwashing with those bottles. And I take them to Alfano's grocery store located in the neighborhood. And I get 5 cents per bottle, and I get my 50 cents, and I walk on up the street about a half a mile, and there was the swimming pool. Conveniently located. That's the key. You have to have a pool in the neighborhood, and also no matter what you do, you have to have access to whatever that is, whether it's a tennis court, basketball court, or a swimming pool. And I had access. If that pool hadn't been in the neighborhood, I wouldn't be talking to you about eventually becoming a Hall of Fame swimming instructor. But once I got into the pool, I started staying longer until the pool closed. The pool opened at 12, and that's all I had to do every day. Get my bottles, go swimming. Get my bottles, go swimming. And it was a lot of work because people weren't throwing away deposit bottles. You had to hustle for those bottles. Long story short, get in the pool, and next morning I had to start the whole routine. It was a lot of work. Mm-hmm. Then when I got out of the pool at 5 o'clock, I would start looking for my bottles for the next day at 12 noon. I got to be in the pool. I got to be in there with my friends. I got to go off of the diving board. I got to smell that chlorine. I got to work on my strokes because I couldn't swim. So I was over in the shallow end practicing. And it was tough. Kept practicing, teaching myself how to swim in the 2.5 feet. Some of my friends who could already swim, they were, in the 5 feet and going off the diving board. But that summer, I was determined. And Kurt, an interesting thing happened that changed my life. So one day I didn't have all of my bottles. I say maybe about that particular summer, maybe about mid-July, I didn't get enough bottles, so I couldn't go swimming. So I walked down to the pool, stood at the gate, looked in the gate, and just so I wasn't missing anything, I wanted to see what's going on at the pool. That was where everybody went. It was a social thing in the summer. And my friends were in there, and I was watching the diving board and watching everybody having a good time. I used to love to see the big boys dive off the diving board. I was only like 5, 6 years old. The big boys, they flipped. And anyway, the lifeguard who worked at the pool, one of them name was Geis. He was walking the deck. He saw me standing at the gate. He said, "Hey, why aren't you in here today?" And I was shocked that Geis even knew who I was. I mean, he was like my role model. I used to see him in a lifeguard chair. He had the shades on. He was in good physical condition. I see him swimming when the pool was closed, or if I got there early, I see him working out. And I was like, man, that guy can swim. Years later, I realized that he was a competitive swimmer. He swam for Alabama A&M. Anyway, he saw me at the gate. He was my idol. He didn't know he was my idol. And he said, "Why aren't you in here today?" So he was aware that I was over there practicing all the time. Mm-hmm. Now that I've gone through life and been a lifeguard, a swimming instructor, certified scuba diver, managed pools, coach swim teams, and the whole works, I understand that lifeguards know everybody and they checking out their strokes as a part of safety. And I told him I wasn't in the pool because I didn't have enough bottles. And he was like, "Enough bottles? What do you mean?" I said, "I didn't have enough bottles, so I couldn't go." He hadn't put it all together yet. So he got on one knee, looked at me on the other side of the gate, and he said, "Let me understand this now. All those days that I see you here in the pool over there practicing, the way you got here is because you find bottles in the neighborhood to pay to come to the pool?" He's telling me this through the gate, through the fence. He's looking at me eye to eye. He's on one knee. I'm 5 years old. And I said, "Yeah, I just thought it was common. This is what you do." And a bell went off in his head. Later on, he told me, as I went on to become prominent as a swimming instructor, he said he thought that, hey, if I train this little boy here with all this discipline he has to come to the pool already, he could do something. So he told me, come around to the side, and he sneaked me in the gate. Couldn't take me through the guy at the cash register. He was all business, that cash register. Sneaked me in anyway through the little side thing there by the snack area at the pool. Then after that day ended, he came to me. I was like, still shocked. Geis is actually talking to me. Geis knows me. He said, look, if you want to learn how to swim good, we have a Learn to Swim program in the morning through the Boys and Girls Club and the Red Cross Partnership in the morning. And we teach kids to swim, and it's actually free. And if you take that program, it's for disadvantaged, poor kids and so on. They were putting it in the community to try to eliminate drownings, and kids could grow up learning how to swim in the inner cities where they don't have these kind of opportunities and their parents can't afford swim lessons and the whole works. Well, he said, and if you come to the lessons in the morning, from 8:30 to like 9:30, then when the pool opens at 12, you get to come for free because you're a part of the program. I'm like, man, that sounds like a good deal. I come in the morning, I get lessons. I come back, I don't have to look for soda bottles. It's a win-win situation. So I go home, lickety-split, tell my mom, and she said, you sure you don't have to pay? I said, I don't have to pay. I need to be there at 8:30. And then, so when I got there at 8:30, I excelled really quickly. I was excited. I learned formal technique, how to swim at 5. I got exposed early on to technique. My flutter kicks, my prone glides, my dolphin kicks, my butterfly, my whip kick, my breaststrokes, my back crawl, my side stroke, my elementary back. All these advanced strokes eventually came along. And then I was a competitive swimmer by age 6. I started racing, and I became one of the top swimmers in the neighborhood as a result of Geis training me. And then he started letting me demonstrate at practice, at swim lessons. He let me demonstrate. He's always saying, hey, man, he got a nice kick. That motivated me. So all the kids started looking up to me. And then as time went on, when slow swimmers would come to swim lessons, and the instructors would be moving the class along, there was somebody really slow, needed to learn how to hold their breath or proper glides or floats, they started letting me right next to them as almost an apprenticeship. I know they didn't know I was going to grow up to become a Hall of Fame swimming instructor, but they said, hey, Lee, work with your friend right here and teach him how to hold his breath and blow out bubbles. So I would be over there with some of my classmates at 6 years old, their age, telling them how to hold their breath, how to blow out bubbles in the water, how to open their eyes in the water, how to kick, simple things. But that was the beginning of me becoming a swimming instructor at 6 years old. So when people say, when did you first start teaching your swim classes? I say, I started teaching around 6, 7 years old. They can't believe it. I was teaching right there next to my teachers, no different than in martial arts or anything else when you have an advanced kid who's a black belt already at 7 years old and you got some 7-year-old black belts. Well, a new kid comes in, they may have that little 7-year-old black belt kid in martial arts, taekwondo, showing them some fundamentals of punches or what have we. It just happened to be swimming. And that's how I got started, and things took off from there.
Now, we'll come back to the swim, but the bottles, very intriguing. You went on to Talladega College, correct? And then Clark Atlanta University and got your master's in economics, I believe, correct?
That's correct.
Were the bottles and picking up the bottles, was that the start of the love of business and ultimately the banking world?
I would say you could trace it back to that. At the time, of course, I didn't tie it all together. Now, as time went on in life and I started looking back at life and I started doing interviews like this with great hosts like yourself, people started asking me various questions. So indirectly, yes, I started managing money then. I started counting then, understanding the value of a penny. I used to save all of my money all the time. I get bottles. If I get some extra bottles, some extra money, I save that money for next day. The next day I wouldn't have to look for as many bottles because I got 15 cents left over from yesterday's harvest. Okay, and so I started managing money, thinking about money, and from there, which you don't see in my bio, I got my first job as a paper boy. Then I had a paper route. Now I'm counting money in the 5th grade. I got a paper route. I'm no longer hustling bottles because I became an advanced swimmer, and I was on the swim team. Once I got on the swim team, you just come swimming free in the day, come to swim team practice in the evening. I was a celebrated, all-city swimmer, and a whole lot of great things happened for our neighborhood as a result of my swimming. And I was on great relay team, district champions and things of that nature. Okay. But when I got the counting of money, handling money. I started that from the paper route, and I understood work ethic from the hustling of the bottles. The hustling of the bottles is like the foundation. It's the character. It's what everything that has happened to me in life since then. Even sitting here with you right now, I wouldn't be sitting here with you right now had I not hustled the bottles, because I'm a television talk show host, right? I would never have become a television talk show host had I not been on television, because I was being brought on television in a lot of cases to talk swimming and banking. But mostly I started doing swimming things on television, and then people discovered me as a person who can handle themselves on television, and I eventually was offered a television show. So it all tied together. And the banking piece. Now, while I was in elementary school and I had that paper route, okay, money. I love money. Okay, now I'm in the Collegeville housing projects in Birmingham, Alabama. So there are no bank senior vice presidents like I became. There are none of those things exist in the neighborhood. There's no role model. So I had no visions of banking. Mm-hmm. My mother, however, when I got my paper route in the fifth grade, my mom would decide to open up a bank account for me. It's that parent-child bank account. Mm-hmm. I think I could deposit money on my own, but I couldn't withdraw without my mom's signature. Mm-hmm. That's that kid account. So that was fine. I had money in the bank because I was keeping it all in the house in my coat pocket in the closet, and my brother would go in there every now and then and take a couple of coins. Long story short is, when she took me to the bank one time, I met her at the bank. She was coming from the grocery store. I met her at the bank on my bicycle. Fifth grade, I had a bicycle. I got all around. I had a paper route. I threw 72 papers, man. I was a great paper boy. As rain, shine, sleet, or snow, and you really have that in Alabama. I was a great paper boy, man. My people on my route gave me tips. I kept their paper from getting wet. And on Sundays when we had those thick papers, I got it to them early in the morning, man. They could have their coffee with their newspaper. No internet existed, man. And at Christmas, man, they gave me great tips, man, and they motivated me. And I was a great paper boy, and I'm proud to have been a paper boy. It just chills me right now to understand how I value being a good worker, just a good worker. And my mom stressed, being a good worker, work hard. So we didn't have anything. I didn't have anybody to give me anything. Anyway, she took me to the bank and opened up my account, and every time I come into the bank, I deposit my little $8 or whatever. I had money in the bank, and then a bank statement came in the mail to the house. It had my mom's name and it had my name on it. I started getting mail actually with my name on it. One day we go in the bank, me and my mother, we go in the bank. She sees this guy over there, like what you see we call those platform people when you walk in a bank. The people who work in the branches, they open up checking and savings account, credit cards and all of that. They're sitting over there with their nice suits on and everything. So I come in the bank one day and my mom said, "You see that man over there with that tie on? You could do that one day." Oh, in sixth grade, she said, "You could do that one day. If you work hard, you could do that." So on the way out of the bank, because my mom wanted me to be some type of something. Mm-hmm. Now, I need to go back because this would be great for you, Kurt, to know. My mother never finished high school. Mm-hmm. She went to about ninth grade, mm-hmm. and my dad went to about the fourth grade. Mm-hmm. No high school education, certainly not college, and, of course, I got a master's degree. Mm-hmm. So my mom had aspirations for her children. So on the way out the bank, she brought me over to the guy who was there. He was an African-American. And she said, "This is my son. He has his own bank account." And this guy who was sitting there, and he said, "Really?" He got excited about it. I said, "Yeah, I got my own bank account." Then he said, "Well, that's good. You're starting your savings at an early age." And I saw him. And then we go out the door. My mom said, "You could do that now. You could grow up and do what he's doing. You don't have to work in the factories." We had all these factories around where everybody went to work. Steel mills in Birmingham, smokestacks. And that was your destiny. And most people, a lot of people, the majority, many people, not the majority, but a large percentage of my classmates never finished high school. So my mom did not want me to go into the plants, I'm sure. They went into the plants. Okay, so as I matriculated through high school, and started playing other sports, basketball, football, soccer, tennis, and everything else under the stars. And then I was a boxer in elementary school, Golden Gloves, and ping pong player, just playing every sport. I was in great physical condition. I ended up excelling academically all the way from first grade all the way to high school. I was always an honor student. Good attendance, honor student, and there was no value placed on that. They just called me the smart boy, and I didn't really care for that. Really, I really them to say, hey, he's handsome, he's cute, the girls like him. You know, he's a star. You know, well, I was a smart boy. So anyway, I was president of the student government in high school. Wasn't trying to be all of that. People voted for me, and my friends encouraged me to run for student body president. And I won that election. It's still a record now in our high school. I won like 99.8% of the vote. Imagine those people, all those students in that high school voting for me to be president of the student government, 99.8% of the vote. Even years later when I go back, my principal used to tell me, this is the only president of student government who got 99.8% of the vote. This is unprecedented. So I guess they thought I was a nice guy. But it put me in academic realm. Now, I had no aspirations to go to college. All the way up into my senior year in high school, even though I was president of student government, principal's honor roll type student, and all these other trappings, I was in the inner city. And going to college was like, that was like a mythical place. It never was talked about at home. We knew our mom couldn't afford to pay for us to go to college. So nobody had gone to college prior to me. My brother had gone for 1 year to the University of Alabama in Birmingham, and then he quit to work for UPS. He eventually went back to school. So I wasn't planning on going to college. I was just going to get a nice job. My mom would say, hey, get a job, stay out of jail, don't do drugs, respect God, and all those basic Southern values, and don't embarrass the family. So if you finish high school, because very few people finish high school, and my parents never finished high school, that was a monumental achievement. And when I finished high school, I had done them proud. I had done my mom proud. My dad was in and out of the household, but he wasn't there. But me and my dad have a great relationship, and he's a decent man. So I ended up in college by luck. One of my friends who was supposed to get a job with me, that's after high school, we had decided that we were going to go down to the phone company and apply for a job at Bell South. We didn't know what kind of job. We just figured it looks like an easy job if we could become operators. Because when we dial 411, we hear these people flipping through these phone books back then and giving you a number. We said, that's an easy job. You sit down, you look through the phone book, and you give people a job. We didn't know you have to take a test. You have to do all these things. You just can't go down there and get a job. So if we didn't get a job at the phone company, we were going to work at the pools. By this time, I had become a lifeguard at the pools, and I was working around pools. But pools were only open 3 months out of the year. It wasn't a year-round thing in a winter state like Alabama. Pools were open when school was out, and they closed when school went back in. Summer, that's it. So you wouldn't have employment all year round. And you out of school, you're a real grown person now. Anyway, Jay Howlett, Jay, I'm plugging you on radio. He'll probably hear this one day because I'm going to get a copy of this. It's my first time kind of revealing all this because you bringing it out, but I know I want to get it on tape. And it's an inspiration for all the children to understand. So Jay's sister had gone to college. Jay and I grew up in the housing projects together. We played basketball together. We were good little athletes, and we were going to work for the phone company and maybe work in the summer at the pools. And his sister had gone to college. Whew, I'm glad she went to college because she filled out all his paperwork for him, got him registered in college, and he was going to college, whether he wanted to or not. I didn't know it. So I go over to his house at the end of the summer after we graduated from high school, and I said, hey, man, it's time for us to go down to the phone company and try to get a job. And Jay said he wasn't going to work for the phone company because he was going to college. And I said, what do you mean you're going to college? He said, well, I'm going to college. My sister filled out all this paperwork, and they accepted me at Talladega College, and they got here's my roommate, here's the card, here's my financial aid, everything. I said, you got in college? He said, yeah. And then I asked him if he thought I could get in college because I didn't want him to leave me back in the neighborhood. He said, yeah, you should be able to get in college. You're the president of student government. You're a principal's honor roll student. You got all these other things. You know, you taking advanced college courses. I was taking geometry, algebra, and all the types of courses. I was just taking them because they said I was smart and not supposed to be in these advanced classes, not because I was trying to go to college like these other people. Some of those girls in there were really trying to go to college. You know? And I was like one of the few males in those advanced college prep classes. Teachers kept pushing me in there. Now, my principal, I would tell you, Kurt, that and any principal that's listening to this, whenever, you know, you were able to clip some pieces and play it. The principal at the school saw me in the hall my senior year, and he said, Lee Pitts, you have not come to me for any recommendations for college. Is everything taken care of? My principal assumed that I was going to college, or he phrased that question as though I was going to college, and he expected me to be going to college. And I said, fine, everything is taken care of, Mr. Lowe. He said, so I don't need to fill out a recommendation for you for college or anything? I said, no. He said, where are you going to college? I said, I haven't decided yet. It's going to be Alabama A&M or Alabama State. I knew I could just tell him anything because once I graduate, he can't keep up with me. So I go home and I tell my sister, who's a freshman when I was a senior, I said, when you go back after the summer and Mr. Lowe asks you what school I'm in, tell him I'm at Alabama A&M or something. And I wasn't even going to college. So Jay's sister, when I tell you about Jay's sister did all this stuff that she did that in this summer. When that summer, you know how you're going to go to school that fall to college? This was in August when Jay told me, early August, that he was going to college at the end of August. So I said to him, do you think I can get in? And he told me I should be able to. Talk to his sister. I talked to his sister. She said, it's late. You should have done all your paperwork and gotten all your things in long ago. But anyway, she said, you might as well call and see if you can get in. Put in an application, apply to the college. You can go with Jay. If not, you can go second semester. Anyway, I contacted the school. They sent me all this information. I sent them back my transcript, my leadership information. The school provided all of that. One of my, it was in summer school was going on at the time. I rushed down to the high school and I asked Ms. Naves, who was a assistant teacher. She was working in summer school, a substitute teacher. I said, Ms. Naves, I need to send all this information to Talladega College. She was in the office working, and she said, you just sending your information out to college? It's late. It's mid-August. I said, yes, but I'm going to try. She said, Lee Pitts, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. You done waited around all this time. You should have been applying for college. Blah, 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 blah. I asked Ms. Naves, do you think I can get into college? Ms. Naves was on the other side of the counter, a typical counter in the principal's office. She burst out laughing. And I was like, wow, she really know I can't get in college. She thinks it's a joke, too. She thinks it's a joke, too. And then she looked at me and she saw that I was really serious. She said, you serious, Lee Pitts? Of course you can get into college. Look at what you've done with your life. We just assumed you were going. I didn't want to say, look, my mom can't afford for me to go to college and all this. I want to go to college. And she started gathering up all this information. It was a beautiful moment. She started calling the teachers who were at home. Summer school was in. My teachers were gone. She was calling them on a hard line, old-fashioned line. There was no fax machine, wasn't invented. There was no sending a email. She had to get them to do some hard typing of recommendations for my file. I need 3 letters of recommendation. All of my high school teachers were willing that she calls, hey, Lee Pitts needs letters of recommendation tomorrow. Lee Pitts needs letters of, what? He's not in school? He's not. They sent all this information off, man, to that college, and that college sent me back. Congratulations. You have been accepted. And here's your financial aid package. And all these grants and things that I could get because I was low income, plus some academic money. They packaged all of that together, and they yanked me up out of the housing projects where I was going to hang out and work at the pool for the rest of my life. They yanked me into college, and then everything changed from there. And I went on to get my master's degree, and I graduated with a master's degree, and then I got recruited by many banks around the country, top banks in the country, and I chose to take my first job in Detroit with the National Bank of Detroit. And then by age 29, I was a vice president at the bank.
And you know, that's a great story because it relates to a lot of our kids here at Dunbar. You know, not to cut this short. Hopefully, this is part one of many.
Yeah.
You know, hopefully
that's why
I
got all my information in.
What would be one piece of wisdom that you would impart with our our high school students, because they are in very similar situations to how you grew up?
Of course, I spent a lot of my time moving around, talking at colleges and high schools around the country and giving presentations at assemblies and all of that. And students ask me questions. But the main thing I think is, to sum it all up, is one, of course, you got to have confidence in yourself. Now, you don't develop confidence in yourself just like, I got confidence in myself. You achieve a few things along the way, and you start building confidence that you can do certain things, whether it was me learning how to swim, my swimming teacher telling me I was pretty good. You start building confidence. So do small things that get confidence in yourself. Understand that you can't just skip certain steps. You got to go through certain steps to get to certain places. So things don't happen as fast as a text message. Hone in on your writing skills. Hone in on your speaking skills. Develop some human capital, things that are in your head that can be translated to money, to employment, to a comfortable lifestyle, and make you a decent person. Then early on, somewhere early on, focus on something that you want to be. Now, in my case, I'm three things. I'm a Hall of Fame swimming instructor. I'm a bank senior vice president, and I'm a award-winning television talk show host. So I can do multiple things. So you don't have to be a robot. You got other skills that you can utilize. Take advantage of those skills, develop those skills. Somewhere be an expert at something. Now, expert doesn't mean that you got to solve the cure for cancer and the common cold. Be an expert at something. Do something well. Do it really well, whether it's playing an instrument, whether it's teaching a subject, whether it's hosting a radio show, a TV show, and all the fundamental things that go into becoming an expert. You got to do those. You got to learn to speak well. You got to be able to reason and analyze things and draw conclusions and be confident in yourself that you can do these things. And people will recognize you along the way. And as people see that you are bringing something to the table that they can work with, such as when I went to Ms. Evans to help me to get into college, or Jay's sister, oh, he's got something I can work with. I can help him because what? He's already taken advanced college courses. Even though he's right here in the hood, he's an honor student. He has not been a menace to society. We can work with him. Then when the college sees me on paper, they already know I'm late. They don't supposed to accept me. Somebody back, I don't even know, behind closed doors at that college looked at me on paper, probably said, we've closed up enrollment and we've closed up admittance for this semester coming up. But this particular kid with these particular credentials, he's sitting back there in the hood. We need to make some exceptions to policy and get him in here right now. And in the mail, everything came to me. They yanked me up out of the hood. And now I'm sitting here with you, Kurt. Life is great. So kids, you can be whatever you want to be. And you don't have to have a president of the United States for you to feel that you can do something with your life. Suppose there was not in this particular case, a black president of the United States. Does that mean that you still couldn't have achieved? All of the people who came before the black president of the United States, they achieved what they achieved with no black president of the United States. You got all kinds of role models who are minorities who have achieved a lot of things before there was a black president of the United States. So you can do a lot of things. You don't have to be president of the United States. Not many people want to be president of the United States. And finally, even the president of the United States himself achieved the goal of being a black president of the United States when no black president of the United States had come before him as a role model. So every time you hear people say, now you can be anything you want to be because now there's a black president of the United States, forget about that. Whether there was a black president of the United States or not, of course, I didn't grow up with a black president of the United States. You just have to be willing to work, be willing to listen, avoid peer pressure, avoid tremendous peer pressure that comes along the way. Stay away from drugs, stay away from alcohol, stay away from bad influences, be your own person. It's going to take a lot, especially if you're a male, because I lost a lot of friends along the way. Certain values that I got in church, certain values that I got at home, I had to separate from friends who wanted to do things that weren't going to be in my best interest in the long run. They would say, oh, he thinks he's somebody. Oh, he thinks he's better than us. No, you think you are less because you're doing those things that are going to hurt you in the long run in your career.
That's a great way to end it because we'll play it for our kids. We do Avid. Mr. Little's here.
I can see Mr. Little. Let's go. Let's go.
So
I'll come back. I'll talk to you whenever.
Yeah, I want you to come back.
And I need to talk to the kids in person.
Oh yeah, we have an Avid class. I'm the Avid counselor. Mr. Little does Avid 4. We'd love to have you come back. Do you want to
big shout out? I got a chance to interview Shannon Reed, your standout linebacker. He's going to be on the show on Leap Is Live on Fox 4 8:30 on September 25th, along with Coach Sam Brown. They're both going to be guests. That's Fox 4 September 5th 8:30 on Leap Is Live, and those guys made me look good on television.
And lots of good stuff on Fox 4 8:30 every Sunday, correct?
Every Sunday morning 8:30 Leap Is Live. Now in our 25th year. We're the longest running television talk show in the history of Southwest Florida, from the little boy who hustled the soda bottles and found his way.
And we got him on WWDH. Thank you so much for your time. And I hope we can do this again to finish our conversations because I have more questions.
I love it, man.
All right. Thanks. Appreciate it. Have a good night.
All right. Peace.